there's things that help you when you sit to meditate. And I want to just kind of talk about those. And one of the sayings of the masters is that we want to sever the mind that desires continuation. It means to cut off thought. And you always want to have some thought in your mind, and it will come up and you'll hear yourself talking. And but you don't have to listen to that. When you're using your awareness, what will happen is that using that awareness, you will notice that all of a sudden you're going to hear yourself talking. Now, I told you that everything that moves is on the phenomena side. So you should not let it stay in mind, not that you purge your mind. You don't give it any kind of energy. When we give attention to a thought, that thought will stay in mind, and you're assuring that that thought is going to come up again and again. Or what the masters say, that what you're actually seeing is just echoes from what happened from before. And you don't see that. But if you went into a canyon and you yelled, Gilbert, you'd hear, Gilbert, 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 Gilbert. And that's what you're doing every time you start thinking of something. But if you don't pay attention to it, then it will just fade away. But as soon as you turn your mind back over to it, it will come back again. Gilbert, 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 because you keep giving it mind energy. So it's just like the echo, it begins to lose its energy. So it's just bouncing off the walls of mind. And so that it comes back. If you give it something, it comes back with intensity. But if you just leave it alone, yes.
I have a question regarding the combination of silent meditation and breath counting.
Yes.
When you do breath counting, when you have wandering thoughts, that's the only way, the better way just to continue counting mindfully and then wandering thought will come. Is it better just when you do silent meditation? What is the better way to silence it? In other words, that the wandering thoughts be gone. You don't entertain it. Is all the other way to combine breath counting and silent meditation together? What is the
Well, the thing is that generally you move from one to the other. So you're starting from breath counting, and then you begin to just let the breath drop off and allow sun illumination to be there. So you no longer are, let's say, using this kind of a pacifier, mental pacifier to keep the mind calm. Once the mind becomes calm, you just let it go into sun illumination. If then you start getting thoughts again, you can go back to counting the breath, just so you have some place to see what to compare to the mind. But as you become adept with the method, you won't need anything. You won't even need anything that you call silent illuminations. You can just simply just sit and you use the mind's own willpower to stay in the present moment. And you're going to have thoughts coming up, but the thoughts will just drip off because they have no place to stay, because you have now matured in your method to the point where you're not trying to prohibit thoughts from arising, but you're just simply just letting the thoughts go by. And that's the part that's important. And that's hard for us to do, you know. And if you take somebody that has a big appetite, and you say, okay, you can come here, and you're gonna go buy, I don't think they even exist anymore, soup plantation or something like that, or maybe in Las Vegas, they have these places with these big giant spreads of food. It costs you a lot of money, but you can eat everything you want. And so people love to go, the Chinese love to go to eat crab legs, you know, the
Yeah.
plates of high with crab legs. And so Americans go and they eat dumb stuff. You know, the Chinese really zero in on what they like to eat. The Americans will get a big giant steak, you know, and they're going, I'm full. And the Chinese go, where are the crab legs? So anyway, I'm digressing and certainly discriminating in some way or another. But the thing is, you take somebody to one of these buffets and you give them a tray and a plate, but you tell them you can't put anything on your plate, you just have to see it go by. And that is us sitting meditating. I'm telling you, there's going to be this buffet of thoughts coming by, so many thoughts, you know, and you can't take any of them. You just have to know that they're there. And that's almost what appears to be counterintuitive when you sit to meditate, that you're there and all these thoughts are coming by, boom, 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 but you can't get one. So if you get one, then that's it. Then, you know, you're there and whatever you're eating, you know, you don't realize it's harming you. So you're off the method. And that's what happens is that when you're sitting there, all these thoughts come by, but you have to have the maturation in the in your practice not to give in to them. You have to know that you're not really eating this food. This food is like a poison to you. But it's not really easy for us to understand that. And as a result of that, we just keep filling ourselves with all of these things, not knowing that they're causing us suffering. It's the very fact that we do not take that enables us to be at peace. So we have to kind of fight that. So you can stay there with watching the breath go out on the limb, you know, with no method. And then when you feel like, oh, I need something, watching the breath is better than giving into all of these thoughts. Now, the thing is that people go, but I can't do this. I can't sit here. You know, the thoughts, they beat me up all the time. I can't do it. And the master, Ling Chi, he said to the people they come to complain like that, he says, all the more so you have to fight. You have to apply your method stronger. You don't just give in because you say it's hard. No, you try to do your best. I once had one student, and very early on in my career, and he had called me up and said, I want to become a monk. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, I decided I want to become a monk. And so I said, okay. And I went, hey, don't you have some kind of a doctoral thesis that you have to finish, that you're working on? Yeah. I go, okay, finish that thesis, and then we'll talk about you becoming a monk. But you finish that first. Well, he finished the doctoral thesis, but he never had that conversation with me about becoming a monk again, but because it was just an obstruction. Some of you may, actually, he's still in New York. David Slaymaker was my student, and he didn't become a monk, but he's still a practitioner, as I understand. But he had that difficulty, just willing to trade things, just simply because the mind tries to avoid doing what it's supposed to be tasked with. But when you sit, you have to do that. You have to finish what you started. If you're going to be sitting there and sitting as a practitioner, you don't sit there and then say, thoughts, take me away, and then and then your legs start hurting you and go, I'll even take some crummy thought if it takes my pain away. You start making deals like that, but you just simply have to endure, to accept what you're doing, and to apply yourself very firmly with what you're doing. You have to do it. And when you're sitting on the cushion, your mind should not be thinking of other things. It should be thinking about properly applying the method. I cannot be there. I cannot sit there and beat you every time you have a thought. If I did that and I was here, it would sound like an audience clapping for after a performance, because all of you would be having so many thoughts going on. I would be hitting you so fast. So you have to do it yourself. And you can do it. And if you do it, it will change the way that you practice. And there's levels of doing it. Just one, you have to, that you can sit. And then we get through all of that, and then we start beginning to think about really applying the method. So we train our legs first. Don't do that. You don't have to train your legs with that. Because of some conditions I've had from the retreat, was the first time I crossed my legs in 2 years. And here I'm sitting with you. Of course, my legs are going to hurt because I'm like a rookie to sit, but it didn't interfere with me sitting to meditate, because my mind just put that to the side. But that was because my practice is mature. I don't have the scattered thoughts coming in. Sometimes they come in, but I am able to detect when something doesn't fit. So when I was at the John Hall at DDRC, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, a man came dressed in a suit and was walking in the John Hall. Now, because I'm an attorney, I'm used to seeing people in suits. So the mind let him in. It looked like he had a legitimate reason to be there, but it wasn't until I saw that he still had his shoes on that I knew he didn't fit. He shouldn't have worn his shoes into the John Hall. So then I saw, okay, you got to take those shoes off, and I'm just going to ignore you and go back to my method. But that's how it is, even at a higher level. Very sophisticated, very subtle things will happen like that to convince you that whatever you're seeing belongs there. But you have to really step up. You have to step up and be observant, be aware. Like if we're outside, and a lion came walking by, you would know this lion doesn't belong here. So you would know that this is an illusion. So you'd have to say, even if Manjusri came by, on the back of a lion, you know that it's just your imagination. It doesn't fit with where we're at.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When we were sitting, I didn't have thoughts.
Okay.
So I was sleepy. I was dozing. Was that okay? I was keep doing this. I have no thoughts.
It's okay
So
if
what
you're
do I do with that?
if you're an oil pump.
I tried to stop that. I was fighting for that.
Understood. I'm just making fun of it, but
Yeah.
it's okay. I understand what you're telling me. So what you do is then you open your eyes. You have a less chance. If you close your eyes, all sorts of things can come up.
True.
Okay. Because when you sit to meditate, if you have your eyes closed, remember this, okay? Because when I say it, I'm so surprised how many people really remember. And I had one student that's been with me for a while, and she understood this and applied it. The only thing you see if you have your eyes closed is the back of your eyelids, right? There's nothing else there. So what makes you think that if you close your eyes, the thoughts come in, they're not real. But if you have your eyes open and just a little bit open and down, don't look down, but keep up and then look down like this, you can't miss it. It's like if you look at the Buddha statues or Kuan Yin Pusa, like this, with just a suggestion of not quite a smile, but just like, I don't need anything. And just like that. So you keep your eyes open. So you could combat that. Normally, well, see, because if you don't have scattered thoughts, and if you don't experience leg pain, it is natural you're going to equate relaxation to sleep. Don't do that though, because then you have to be careful. One of the people that was in the retreat that I just finished, she said that she kept having these images of sheep going by. Bad one to have. A sheep, 1, 2, 3. So right away she got drowsy, because we in the US we say you need to just count sheep going by. So she got drowsy right away. And I had to laugh because I go, of all the images that you have to see, sheep are probably the worst. And you're counting sheep and you're going to go to sleep. It's natural. You will feel that way because you equate this relaxation with an opportunity to sleep, feel so comfortable. But you don't do that. No, the thing that makes this work is that when you get up off the cushion, you're relaxed and you get used to being relaxed with your body. So if you're used to being relaxed, you don't think that you have to go to sleep or get drowsy because you finally feel very comfortable. When you stop the thoughts, then your mind is very, very relaxed. Your body's relaxed. So it's natural that it's going to say, oh, this is a great time to go to sleep because I don't never even feel that way when I go to sleep. When I go to sleep, I'm like thinking of all the problems that happen during the day. But now it feels so comfortable. But so you have to fight against it.
Yeah, my second question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this position acceptable?
Of course.
This is fine. So I should have just do that. I'm good with this. I thought I have to be like that.
No, you are so fortunate you can do that your legs actually bend like that, I wish I could do that. She's sitting kneeling and she's so supple, just like a piece of folded paper, It's so easy. So if you sit in that way and you feel comfortable, please do so. Okay. The whole point of sitting with your legs crossed is to give yourself 3 points for your body to be on. So so that you're not wobbly. So you just want to be So that when you sit and you meditate, and again, these questions are ones that just naturally come up and give me the things that I need to talk to you about. This group needs to listen to. So you sit, and as you sit, you become more relaxed. And never think that you can't be more relaxed. Always remember that element there, relax the body, relax the mind. Even if you're half an hour into your sitting, relax. And sometimes you'll actually feel that your body becomes more relaxed. It will let go. The muscles will let go. You will find that you find the spot, the sweet spot, that feels like you're like a helium balloon attached to a cord. And you will just feel that, you're just perfectly there. You know, if you're using your back, you're using your stomach muscles, and then you correct your neck and your head. If you're sitting like this, after a while, your muscles in your back are going to get very tense. So we think that this is a stiff position. It is not. It is the same as when you take a broom and you put it on your finger and you balance it. After a while, it's so easy to balance the broom. But if you try to hold a broom at an angle, it takes a lot of effort to hold it at an angle. So you just find that sweet spot. And little by little, as you start getting more and more relaxed, you straighten up. You just keep straightening up, straightening up. So you feel as if there is a thread that's pulling you up like this, that's connected to all of your vertebrae. And you're not there like some kind of a British soldier or a German soldier like this. You have a natural curvature in the spine, and you're just relaxed. You're not this way or that forward. You find that spot, and then you just stay there. Your jaw's relaxed. Everything about you is very, very relaxed. If you can sit like this and just remember to relax, then the mind will relax as well. And that will take away your leg pain. So if I do not know these things, then right now, certainly if you see me after we finish, it's not so easy for me to straighten my legs. But I just put that to the side until I'm done, and then I hobble off. But during sitting, I don't have an experience of the pain. Sometimes I will not straighten out because my mind is still not stable. But at this moment, it's there. I know that even talking about my legs can bring back the idea that there's pain, but there's not the suffering from that. So what happens with you, it's natural for you to get drowsy. So this, you have to overcome it. So you keep your eyes open, okay? Keep your mind to the method, but just look forward. You can look down or you can look straight. It doesn't matter, as long as you're not activating, there's not people walking in front of you, you know, then you can do that. And then this is the same as if your eyes were closed and you're watching the back of your eyelids. It's the same thing. There's no difference, okay? And so, like I said, one of my students, she accepts that and literally just watches the back of her eyelids. So she's aware and compares that to what's arising in mind. And then she knows if anything that comes up, anything that moves is an illusion. No, sometimes we create illusions, we create things, we want to see things. One of my students, my senior students, many years ago, she said, "Oh, I saw the color red, so bright." And she said, my Tibetan master was saying, "I don't forget about that. You know, you don't need to see colors. You know, the 60s are over. You know, in the 60s, everybody was taking hallucinogenics and wanted to see colors. So that's kind of my arcane reference to that time, that it was valueless, but everybody wanted to have some special experience. But we don't need to see anything. That's why they say if the Buddha appears before you, chop them down. if Mara appears before you, chop down Mara. You just see things so clearly. You see how there are. There was the story of the Vilamakritti Sutra, where one of the bodhisattvas had he was practicing, and Mara being like the devil, the evil thing, Mara then appears in front of him under the guise of being a heavenly god. So changed the face, and then brought 1,000 or 10,000 handmaidens with him, all beautiful, and said to him, to the bodhisattva, look, I brought these from heaven, which they're actually from hell, but I brought these maidens from heaven, and they can attend you. And so you can have them. And so the bodhisattva started going, no, he began to say, this is not proper. But the layperson, Vilamakritti, appeared at that time and said, don't be fooled. This is not the God. I think it was like Indra or something that was showing. Don't be fooled by this God. It's not a God, it's Mara. So Vilamakritti uncovered it. There's Mara there. It wasn't this God at all. And so he uncovered him, and Mara said, why are you coming and messing up my play here? You don't need to come here and do that. And so then Vilamakritti said, okay. He said, obviously this bodhisattva doesn't want your 1,000 handmaidens, but I'll take them. Mm-hmm. So I'll accept them on behalf of him. And Mara's going like, that's a jip. I got nothing out of this. And so Mara at that moment, because once Mara was uncovered, Mara wanted to disappear. Because it was seen as it was. And so in that moment when Mara wanted to disappear, Mara couldn't disappear. It was trying to, everything it could do to try to make itself disappear. And it couldn't disappear. So we were stuck there watching this bodhisattva meditate, which is not what Mara wanted to do. This is like, what Mara wanted to bother this person, to affect their mind. And so then Vilamakritti says, I will let you go, but you have to leave the handmaidens with me. And Mara started getting very nervous because Mara was exposed. And in that moment, then Mara finally said, okay, take them, they're yours, just let me get out of here. And so Mara went away, but was not happy because he lost all of these handmaidens. And so Vilamakritti, kept the handmaidens and actually made them like his servants. He had a house. This is a beautiful big house. Vilamakritti's house was even bigger than this one. It was beautiful. I mean, beyond compare. I mean, it could expand its walls to fit 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 people in it. And so then Mara wanted the handmaidens back. And so he said, you really want them back? And he said, yes. And so essentially the condition to have the handmaidens back was that Vilamakritti taught them the Dharma, taught them about appearances and to see things clearly. And so doing that, they said, when you go now, when you accompany him, you can present the Dharma to people, so that those people will not be confused as to the appearances, confused as to what Mara's trying to do. So Mara got the handmaidens back, but they were already awakened. So he couldn't do anything with them. And it wasn't kind of like, they weren't really, they were with him, but they were liberated. And so all of this is just like us when we're sitting on the cushion and we're clear about what we see. So when our mind is confused, it's like the mind that's being affected by Mara. We're not clear. We don't know that this is causing us suffering. But if we're clear about it, then the thoughts that come in that we think are innocent thoughts, they may be something good. It may be the donut that comes up in your mind. And you go, this wonderful, glorious donut that's coming up in my mind is really Mara. It's the Mara of the belly, you know. And if you pray to it, your belly gets bigger and bigger. And when you die, maybe you become a hungry ghost. You don't know that. Mara would be happy. But in that moment, Mara is just the delusion that arising in the mind. But when you see clearly these thoughts that are arising, they're neither good nor bad. You just understand that they're phenomenal. This is not what you are hunting. You're hunting something more valuable than that, which is mind itself. And all you have to do is turn your mind towards the mind, and the mind will be there. It's natural. But we cannot go, well, I don't see mind. I don't see mind. I don't see it like that. But it's just like a mirror turning towards a mirror. Whatever would be seen there, because you would know that, right? If you turn two mirrors together, you can't really see what the mirrors are looking at. We have an idea what they're looking at, but it's inconceivable what they're seeing. Can you picture that like two mirrors? Have you ever been in a room that has a mirror in the front and a mirror in the back? And then what do you see? What do you see, anybody?
Infinite mirrors.
Huh?
Like infinite mirrors, just repeating the image.
It just repeats the images to infinity, right? And then you're there. But if you stepped out from between the two mirrors, you would not know what those mirrors see in a room just made of mirrors. It's inconceivable. But you know that your appearance on the mirror, you see it, and it too stretches out to infinity. So the mirrors, they do not affect the appearance on them. And so if you were in a room made of mirrors, then you would appear to be infinite too. What's important about this is that you are not separate from mind. The phenomenal cannot be peeled off the mirror. It too is naturally appearing in accordance with causes and conditions. You do not have to make the mirror simply see the mirror. It understands everything that's there is infinite. It just goes on and on and on. But when we see things, we cannot see the mirror that's looking at the mirror that you're projected on. And so we think that there's two in the mirror, that which we're looking at and ourself, but we don't see our own reflection. So we think it's not there. But if we could clearly see and put the two mirrors together, you would see that which is the appearance and that which is looking at that appearance. And you would understand that appearance of self, even though you can't see it, is still on the mirror. It's still there. We cannot see it. So it's like a trick of Mara of disappearing so you cannot see it. But once we understand that it's there, that's important, because what really is seen, but it's masked, is our own self-nature. Our own self-nature of mind is looking at mind. They are not two. they are not one. It is where the one returns to. Now, a long time ago, when my son was very young, maybe 9 years old, I was invited to a conference for all religions. And so the conference had Presbyterians, it had Baptists, it had fundamental Christians, even had Quakers, and one Buddhist. And that's what they called like a wide variety of religions. You know, it was just all the different denominations, the Christian religion. And I was there and I was on a panel. And so then the first question that came out was this lady, and she said, I think that we all can agree that everything returns to the one. And then she said, and then what, you know? And I put my hand up, I know, like a little kid, I call it me, you know? And I said, as Buddhists, we have a saying which says that if everything returns to the one, what that means is everything returns to God, right? Where does the one return to? And it was like you could hear crickets, like completely quiet. Nobody said anything, nobody. And it was this kind of uncomfortable quietness, like, huh? And I went, really, you should think about it, contemplate it. And they're going, next question. And when my son, we were leaving, and my son was so excited, and he said, Dad, when they said that about everything returns to the one, I had a question that I wanted to ask him. And I said, what was the question? He said, who created God? And I said, that was my question to them. It was who created God? Where does the one return to? So when we talk about this, when we say, where does the one return to? I don't tell you the story because it's just a clever story, but it's fundamental to how we are. We are not monistic. We don't believe that there's this big Buddha in the sky, you know, sitting on a marble throne, wearing clothes from 2,500 years ago, golden garments or whatever. This is just our own imagination. The Buddha is all of us, all our minds. It is how this whole place is created by the mind.
But is Buddha nature one?
It's beyond one.
That is
It is what creates the one. So even anything, it's beyond duality. Your question's a good question because it's beyond duality. We no longer look at the world and see that there's a subject or an object. This is very important, okay? You poor people, I'm taking you into the deep end, okay? So when you take them into the deep end, you know, it's better. There was an old Western with John Wayne, and there was this little kid that really liked John Wayne, and he was a cowboy. So John Wayne's a cowboy, and he says, all right, you have to go in there and bathe. And the little boy goes, but I don't know how to swim. He says, of course, everybody knows how to swim. Even dogs know how to swim. I don't know. And he picks him up and throws him out into the middle of the pond. And so then the mother comes and goes, what are you doing? He's going to drown. No, he's not going to drown. And he figures out how to swim and finally makes it back and enjoyed it. But the thing is that sometimes, you know, I invite you to jump in the deep end. Sometimes I just take you and dip you, like the Christian baptism, you know, where they take them to the river and they dip their head in, you know. And that's what I'm doing right now. is there's no duality. Mind, the mind that's looking at mind is not two, not one. Everything is just mind. There is no true phenomena. It only appears in mind.
I
And
have a question.
yes, go ahead.
So if there's one looking in mind and there's no one, no duality, but then why you use a case like the two mirrors, and then first scenario is like one person in between the mirror, look at it, right? See all the effects.
Yes.
And then another scenario is the person is out of the between the mirror, just a mirror, see another mirror. You understand that condition?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the why was two scenario in this.
I was fishing for you. So I was fishing for you. I was looking for you to figure this out, because you're looking at it. Well, what is there a difference between them? There's no difference, because that which appears to be real and projected in the mirror when you're in between, that is not your true mind. So the one that's looking into the infinite, and let's say their back is to the other mirror and they're looking this way, they're still nevertheless projected on the mirror. They don't know that, and they are projected on the mind. So just try to picture this, okay? And you have this room, and they're projected. They're not projected on the mirror behind them, although that's projecting them as well, but they're projecting on the front mirror that's looking at them. When we sit to meditate, it is that front mirror that's seeing the method. It's seeing, and if anything comes up that suggests an ego, a personality, or a life and being, that's in between. So it's like a mind sandwich with this phenomena that's in between. Sometimes I call it a baloney sandwich, because what's in between is baloney. It's not real. It's temporarily there. It does not interfere with the nature of the mirror. The mirror will reflect it no matter what. Now I'm going very deep on this. Okay, so stay with me, okay? Try to stay with me. It will reflect it no matter what. But it is not the mirror, because it's transitory, constantly changing. It's like if you went to, yesterday we were going to get ice cream. And so you go to get ice cream. I would say, I'll take this chocolate, I don't know what it was, like Danger Bomb or whatever it was, triple threat or whatever, But then I said, no, I changed my mind. I want to have the mint ice cream. So being the proper Buddhist that I am in the state of equality, I'll have 2 scoops, one of chocolate and one of mint. I'm kidding, but I mean, I'm not kidding you about taking 2 scoops, but that's how mine works sometimes. But the thing is, if it was always the same, I would only order chocolate ice cream every single time. But in that moment, I said, I changed my mind. Okay, if it was part of the real mind, it could never be changed. It would always be there the same. I'd always have to get the chocolate ice cream, because the mind could not change. Look at, she's smiling. So the thing is so that is not real. It's moving. It's real only because it is appearing in mind, and only because mind created it. But it is not the noumena, the base of the mind, from where everything comes from. When we're sitting to watch the method, we are moving past those things to the noumena, from where the method is projected on. That is a mirror, and the mirror is watching it. So there's no one there. The one is an appearance on the mind, believing that it is one, and that you can perfect or clean or polish up this appearance. But we cannot do that. That appearance cannot be polished up. It just has to be seen through. Seeing through, there's no obstruction in the mirror reflecting everything. Those two mirrors are infinite. The mind then can be seen in this way. No matter what you do, whichever direction you are in, the mind is infinite. Yeah.
Well, first of all, two scoops is dualistic, but that's another thing. I'm just a comment. So,
Not in my stomach, they mix together.
oh, they do. Okay.
Go ahead.
This Englishman who took the name Wei Wu Wei said, what you're looking for is looking. So that's a simple way. You know, you're looking out from what you think you're looking for is already looking. It's just a clever way of condensing it. And then I have a question about the mirror and to map from wisdom to compassion. So using the mirror is a very prevalent image in Buddhism, but a mirror never helped an old lady or an old man cross the street. So from that, is there a way of getting from that clarity of mind and including compassion in it with that image, or is that image just something that you use for clarity of mind and you have to go someplace else for compassion?
Sorry, Putra speaks. It is that because what we cannot understand is that because it's a complete, it is the Dharmakaya is not separate from the Nirmanakaya or the Sambhokaya. Everything is all connected, whether it's phenomenal or the noumenon, all those things are connected, but it is one body. So you have to look at it this way, Harry. You know, you are not trying to see things as they are real and say, well, does a real mirror, care about the old lady? The old lady belongs to the Dharmakaya. It belongs to the Buddha body. The Buddha body, the Buddha has created this old lady. Okay. So let's say you have your body and you have cut your left finger, and let's say it's just a paper cut, but it's enough to bleed, so people when they get a paper cut, they're and if you do that and you cut your finger with a paper cut, right? So if you go like this and it's bleeding, and you want to like clean it with your mouth, does your mouth say, hey, get that awful thing away from me? It has nothing to do with me. I don't have a cut, and it says, well, somebody fix me. And the feet, well, I'd like to help you, but I can't do anything. I'm just tap-toe. What about the hand? It doesn't belong to me. Whatever your cut is, that doesn't belong to me, so fix yourself. No, the body never does that, right? It goes right away and puts on a Band-Aid, maybe a Flintstone Band-Aid or a Ice Queen Band-Aid from Disney or whatever, make it look good, clean it all up, and as if you were doing a brain operation, you want to take care of it. No, because you're concerned. The body's concerned, the eyes are involved with it, and you're fixing it. The mouth is involved to pull the Band-Aid open because this hand can't do it. I'm hurt. But attention is given. It is because it is part of the Dharmakaya that the concern is there, the attention is given. It is like what we were talking about in the retreat. We spent probably 2-3 hours on this the sutra on the inconceivable the child of inconceivable radiance, and showing that very question to the Buddha. And the Buddha was saying there is a concern. There is a concern because it belongs to the body. And so that's what happens is this compassion is not the compassion that you have where you say, oh, you know, like something happened and you know, you see, let's say one of you trips. Oh, right away, we're going to help you, right? But maybe there might be a drug bum that trips, you know, and you go, oh, I don't want to touch that one. He's all stinky and might have bugs. And so that's conditional compassion. So we have to see things as they really are. So when you do that, your question's a very good one. And I have to surmise in some part the area where he knows the answers. And so he's serving as, well, that's why I say, as sorry Pooter to ask this question, you know, on behalf of all of you. And so the thing is that when we see that that's where the compassion comes from, because the mind cares. And it's a deeper, clearer compassion than what otherwise we would have. But it's based on a non-duality. It's based that everything is fundamentally empty. And this emptiness, and I'm throwing you right so far deep into the deep end, you know, but this emptiness is there, but it's not the emptiness of an empty cup, but it's empty because everything is included. You're included, you're included, you're included, you know, you're included, you know. Everything is in there. All your family is included, you're included. The ants in your backyard, they're included. Okay, everything is included in this emptiness because it has one thing in common, all phenomena. What is the one thing all phenomena have in common besides impermanence? I'm sorry? Empty. Everything's created by the mind. It is empty, but you have to understand that everything is created by the mind. So it is in this way. And I was using at the retreat the comparison, you know, that if God creates everything, you know, and we already talked about, well, who created God, right? But if God created things, you would think that if it wasn't a product of causes and conditions, because that's what creates the things there, that it's not a Buddha that sets everything into motion with the wave of a hand. But if God created everything, would he have created this world like it is? And you would say, well, you know, maybe you could have done a better job, you know, picked a different color for the walls or whatever, or the grass should have been blue instead of green, or maybe you should have created people that don't like to kill each other. Or why do you have to have illnesses? And why would you create COVID? No, but it's not that way. Everything's created. When we say the mind creates it, it doesn't interfere what's appearing on that. It's in accordance with causes and conditions. But in and of itself, it still has an interest of rectifying that and to removing the suffering. Why you are perceived as a mechanical puppet, and you're here carrying out the so-called karmic habitual patterns. But that's not enough, because then the Buddha mind could recognize, well, this is just empty, it's nothing. But what brings the Buddha attention to the Buddha mind is that what is governing what you're doing is that you are a Buddha yourself. You're just not awakened to it. And so as a result of it, you create suffering for yourself and suffering for others. And so there's an interest in the Buddha mind to rectify that, to awaken what you have. So the thing is that in this world, sufferings here. That was part of the Four Noble Truths. And going through this whole process of saying that there's a path to removing the suffering, and there's an elimination of the suffering. But the elimination of the suffering is not in retooling the sentient being. It is in the awakening of the Buddha that's slumbering, that there is no ego, personality, or life and being that's there, that they are actually the Buddha mind also. All the masters talk in this way. Please read Ling Chi, Han Sha, Shu Yuan, Master Bo Shan. All of these masters, read them. They just have, like maybe 5-page treatises on this. Just look up for the essentials for the beginners of Chan practitioner. They all say the same thing, that it is just this mind. And this mind is the Buddha mind. No matter how deep you get, it still comes down to that. And if you can do that, she's sitting in a lotus position now. Show off. She must have like rubber legs, So I was just like, Wei Shan, blessed with short, fat legs, And he's going like, I'm even trying to keep it on the cushion so it doesn't stick out. So. But if I said to him, oh, the only way you can become enlightened is to put your legs in a full lotus. I mean, if he really believed that, I would tell him that, and if he didn't die, then he would become instantly enlightened. That was Master Chan. That would tell people that, which is probably a good idea. It kind of thinned out the herd quite a bit, but for people that are hurt or old people or whatever, I think it unnecessarily puts strain on them. But in any case, back to did that help you with the mirror that I was telling you about? Huh? Yeah, you had a question.
So when we are meditating, we try to be aware. So and then I try to feel what my awareness is like. I just feel like my awareness is limited. So I'm aware of my breathing, my thoughts. I just feel like it's just right here. So, but I know Buddha nature is vast, is pervasive, it's like space. I just don't know my awareness. I just feel like it's just right here. It's just with me. It's small, it's. I don't have the connection.
You know where I'm going next, right?
That's how I feel. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is something wrong here?
I love the questions, and again, I'm sorry I threw you into the deep end. Okay, but you're swimming. That's good. You're swimming. You're working this. So never let people think you're not ready to study the deep Dharma. Never let anybody put that on you. I don't teach Chan bots. To me, Chan bots are cross your legs, sit there, and then they give you the papal blessing, may God save your soul. And so you sit there and you don't know what you're doing. You have no clue because nobody's ever bothered to explain the profound to you. So you're there and you're asking this question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
There is in one of the sutras, they talk about that the 50 billion Buddha worlds, 50 billion Buddha worlds. They're just saying in some places there's 50 billion Buddha worlds, right? So these are worlds. We're not counting all the individual sentient beings and everything in these 50 billion Buddha worlds. But you would figure that that's a lot of Buddhas. That would take up a lot of space, right? It would fill at least Central Park. Okay. Perhaps the Atlantic Ocean and France and you name it. That's a lot of space. But they say that the 50 billion Buddha worlds can be found on a single strand of hair on the Buddha. And I've never seen a hair on the Buddha. So I don't, oh yeah, I guess it's the hair from here, the top knot.
It's on the tip of the hair.
On the tip of the, on the tip of the hair, okay, just on the tip of the hair, with no protrusion, like it's like a regular hair. It's not like well, of course you can see 50 billion because they're like a bubble on the end of it. It fits perfectly on the tip of the hair.
Is Samantha Barbara's, prayer, right? You're talking about.
So when you see that, that's impossible for us to understand, right?
Yeah.
It's hard for us to do that. But how can that be? I mean, then yet you say it's so small because you're gauging it from a sentient being. But let me do an exercise for you, okay? So everybody get ready, close your eyes. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Can you picture like a brown wooden bowl, like the begging bowl of Hui Ning? Picture it in your mind. And then you can picture a walnut in the bowl. Can you picture the walnut in the bowl? So you see it. And then this walnut, it transforms into an American buffalo, like the one on the nickel, a bison. You see it has a hump on it. Brown, woolly. So the nut changed into a bison. And now it's changed into a mountain. The bison's hump now becomes the top of this giant brown mountain, the size of Mount Sumeru. Can you picture the mountain? You see the mountain? Okay, open your eyes. Was everybody able to see the images?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me go back to you.
Mhm.
Were you able to see the images?
Yeah.
What did you see the images with?
My mind? Imagination?
No, you saw it with mind, right?
Yeah.
Our problem is we believe that this dream has a certain space and it's there, but it's not limited to the ideas that we see. The mind is vast and infinite. It's capable of producing those images. So what you think is just in front of you is infinite, timeless. If you use your mind to practice, and if you use your mind to practice, eventually you will understand that the mind does not have boundaries or borders or limitations, space or time. It is just in this way. What appears to be real is not real. And what appears to be unreal is real. Which is real? The dream that you had, hold on, the dream that you had of the buffalo turned into a mountain, that too may appear to be a dream, but it's not any less real than this world. It's all created by the mind. Hold on, she had a question. Go ahead. In the back.
Yeah, so what does it mean the mind is so powerful, if everything created by the mind? But then why in some practices that forget about your mind, use your heart.
It's the same thing. The heart is the compassion of the mind.
Oh, heart and mind is the same thing.
Yes. Even in Chinese, they refer to it that way, right?
Yes. Chinese mind is the heart mind.
Heart, mind. Yeah. So you're in the right place. You're in the right class. Okay.
I thought when we talk about mind, we see mind is the analytical.
No, we're not talking about consciousness. We're not talking about, we have someone that works at Harvard here, so we have to see, yeah, that belongs to the scholars, but this belongs to the heart. Just
So
like
in
what
your
Harry was
difference,
talking about.
Yeah, like earlier said, imagine we are magnetic in outdoor space on the map, right? So is a difference. When I meditate, my mind sees the vision of a line goes by in front of me. And a real line, so-called a real, right? The real line works towards us. Is there a difference between the two?
Those are just imagination, but they're the imaginations in the mind. But the mind, it functions with wisdom. So it doesn't just simply produce arbitrary imaginings in the mind. This is an arbitrary imagining that I did, but it was for a purpose. So to show you the capabilities of mind, and then begin to tell you, if this world is a dream of the Buddha, then why could not 50 billion Buddha worlds be on a single strand of hair? The dimensions are not there because it's the capability. So when you go to read the sutras and they say 5,000 bhikshu were present, 50,000 bodhisattvas were present, whatever, 5 million gods and divas appeared, we see that and just remember the idea of them appearing on a strand of hair. And then you see, this is all just created by the mind. So that we're not limited in this way. We're limited here because we try to follow the rules of samsara and the rules of this earth. So if I toss something up in the air, it's going to come down because it's governed by gravity.
Is drag for real or also a game of the mind?
Well, the thing is, are you real?
Definitely not, right?
You got good questions though, so that's good. But you're talking for everyone here, so this is good. This is the class. I'm so sorry that I don't have so much time to talk to you. I feel like I'm leaving you and you're going but, because there's so much more to see. But I just threw you into the deep end and then I leave. Bye-bye. And they go, wait, wizard, come back. You haven't finished telling us the rest of what we're supposed to be doing here. And I'm just in my balloon floating away. So I feel sorry because this is just a one-day retreat and I'm just dumping all of this profound Dharma on you. But it should give you something to contemplate, to think about. It is not in the answer. If I could just tell you, okay, everything's created by the mind and immediately all became enlightened. Sometimes when you read the sutras and they say, and when he said that, 50,000 bodhisattvas became enlightened, and you're going like, wait, I didn't get enlightened. Why the heck did I get enlightened? How did all these ones get enlightened? What a shit. But you just have to look into it and see, how it works and have faith. Process what I've been telling you today. What you've heard. It should be something that makes you feel a bit uneasy. That, not in a bad way, but in a way that it's like some puzzle that you want to finish, but you can't finish.
But it's become more inquisitive.
And the more you look at it, the more you want to solve it. Shifu, he used to say, it's like you know, the candy taffy, the very sticky candy. No, Americans used to give it out at in Christmas, even the ribbon candy like that. And so when you're a little kid, you go, wow, this is so good, you know. So you go to do that, and you get greedy and you want to swallow it. And then what happens? It gets stuck on the back of your tongue. You ever have that happen? You're there and you got this candy stuck on the back of your tongue, and you're there and you're not comfortable, but every time you swallow, it's sweet. But it's there, but you want to finish it, right? Even though it's so sweet, you want to finish it, but you can't. That's what the Dharma should be like for you now. No, to see that to you, how do those all fit on one strand of hair? How do we all fit in this room? And so in some places, if the people's egos are so big, that's truly a miracle to fit them all in one spot. But here, we have to think, okay, I kind of spread the Dharma around in terms of seeds to you, including the seeds of Bodhi, of an interest in others and helping others. And this is a seed that's the most important one that we should think about, so that I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to those people that you will bring the next time, that you will spread the Dharma to. You will assist in whatever way you can, whether it's monetarily or time or whatever you can do to help. Some people, they do it by translating material, serving as interpreters, so many different ways that you can help. And all of these are things that help us to spread the Dharma. Again, we don't have the direct approach, you know. Yes, Buddha loves you. You know, we don't go to the door and say, Buddha loves you. Would you like to see this book on Master Shen Yang that tells you the secret of life and everything that's there? And they go, no, get behind me, Satan. You know, get out of here. We don't do that. Our way is one that the people, they have to be ready for it. They can see it, they have an interest in it. We don't try to force feed it or trick people into doing it. But if there is a disaster or anything of that nature, we don't discriminate on what country, what it is there. We try to help wherever we can. Doesn't matter. It's not conditional on them becoming Buddhists, because we still belong to this world and want to help. So we use conventional compassion along with our unbridled compassion. Okay. Any last questions before the break? Who is there? Oh, okay.
The question, I think you have explained a few times. I'm also sometimes ask myself, who deliver whom? Because sentient beings are illusory in nature, in terms of Buddha nature, illusory phenomena. They are here, we have to deliver them to become a Buddha. So the sentient beings, on the other hand, they are helping us to become a Buddha. And it's actually the function of Buddha nature. So actually, so it is, my read is that we are not really delivering the sentient being, we are delivering ourselves to get rid of our ignorance, vexations. So that's why I think we call it like we vow to eliminate, what is that? The
Innumerable sentient beings
Of self-nature.
That's pretty.
of illusory nature.
Yeah, illusory nature.
Yeah, I would just say, shh, quiet. Everybody's gonna want one. It is in this way that we deliver. And there's a saying that the Buddhas used the vexations of sentient beings to practice. Let me say that again, because you're going to go like, what? The Buddhas used the sentient beings, the vexations of sentient beings to practice. What does that mean? Well, first we have to say, okay, if I say all of you are Buddhas, you use your vexations and the vexations of others to practice, to awaken. So then we see, even though it appears to be in the samsara that you believe you're a sentient being, you're actually a Buddha. But you've awakened to at least knowing that the sentient beings are illusory. But you have an interest, not just in of yourself, but you have the interest in resolving the vexations of other sentient beings. But we use that to practice, so we see. So it's not like the Buddha, there's like one Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. Sometimes people believe there's only one Buddha. There's not one, there's not 50 million Buddhas. We just call it Buddha. It's just mind, or we could say no mind, because we don't want to get caught up in calling it mind. It's just the thusness of how things are. And how things are is that you possess Buddha nature. And you believe you possess vexations, but those are illusory. If you die, your vexations die. Your Buddha nature has never been born, so it doesn't die. You just get back in line, in the samsaric line to get issued a new body. It's the way it is, you know. But it's not you as a sentient being that gets issued a new body. It's the Buddha nature that gets issued a new body because it's caught in the swirl. So it just keeps coming back and coming back. It can't get out of it. It believes this world, this dream of here is real, but it's not. So the job of sentient beings who have awakened, and the job of bodhisattvas that have awakened before and returned, and the job of Buddhas is to have an interest in those slumbering Buddhas. You wake up and then you go back to sleep. You wake up and you go back to sleep. But one day you're going to wake up and you're not going to go back to sleep. You're going to know this world is not real. You're going to know because you realize that 50 billion Buddha worlds can fit on a tip of hair. It is just this way. But to us here, we go, oh yeah, sure, that would probably win America Got Talent show, if you could show that. Can you imagine putting out America's Got Talent? Wow. But it's not in that way. All that's an illusion too. Okay, we'll finish for right now. If we just had unlimited time and energy, I would still be talking here next week. Okay, so